Fox Undercover first told you the story of a teenager restrained and given painful electric shocks for hours at a controversial center for the disabled.
And now, as a lawsuit over that case heads to trial on Monday, Fox Undercover has found new evidence that raises questions about the center's treatment of students. Investigative reporter Mike Bodette has the story.
Some parents say the Judge Rotenberg Center has saved the lives of their severely disabled children. The center makes sure these parents are heard when defending itself from the many critics who question the Rotenberg Center's use of electric shocks for treatment. But you're about to hear some stories the center won't volunteer to tell you about. Cases a state investigator found so disturbing, he questioned whether the Judge Rotenberg Center can handle its most troubled residents.
And when I viewed the tape, I saw Andre walking into a room. Someone asked him to take off his coat. Andre said no. They shocked him. He went underneath the table trying to get away from them. They pulled him out, tied him up, and they continued to shock him.
Cheryl McCollins talking about what she saw happen to her son Andre in 2002 at the Judge Rotenberg Center in Canton. An ordeal captured by the school's surveillance camera and described in court documents from her lawsuit against the school. Andre was restrained for 7 hours. Each time he screamed or tensed up, he was shocked, 31 times in all. What was the purpose of all those shocks?
I have no idea.
Did you get an apology?
No. They felt what they did was therapy.
Does that look like therapy to you?
No. It was torture.
After that report aired, Fox Undercover obtained 3 years of state investigative reports showing more troubling cases investigated by the Massachusetts Department of Early Education and Care, which licenses residential schools for the disabled. The 7 reports turned over under the state's public records law show just how challenging some of the residents can be as they bite, scratch, and otherwise try to hurt themselves and staff. They also reveal serious concerns about whether the center can handle these difficult cases. An investigator looking into how one resident was able to slash herself with a razor in 2011, then cut open her stitches 3 days later, wrote, "The program does not appear to be equipped to meet the mental, emotional, and social needs of the majority of psychiatrically involved adolescents that are currently admitted into care." Michael Flamia is an attorney representing the Rotenberg Center.
Even though he made that statement, it's certainly untrue, and he's certainly not qualified to do an assessment of the school.
The state also investigated the case of a staff member biting off part of a resident's ear during a restraint, in cases involving workers slapping and punching residents and applying an unwarranted restraint.
I would absolutely say that they are isolated incidents. 99.9% of the staff here do it just right. But no program is perfect.
In another 2011 case, a female resident was confined to her residence, mainly in her room, for 18 days. The investigative report says the confinement and isolation within this house, without normal conversation and contact with other peers, constitutes cruel and unusual punishment and violations of basic human rights. The school responded to the report that it was trying to limit the residents' access to dangerous items, but changed its policies after the investigation.
It's completely, I mean, she was in perfect health. She was working on her education. What she wasn't allowed to do, though, was to engage in those behaviors of self-abuse and violence. So it was just a completely inaccurate statement. JRC was able to get her behaviors under control, and she's now doing beautifully.
Why did you change your policy if you didn't do anything wrong?
Because that's what EEC wanted us to do. And JRC, like every other school, does the things that they ask them to do.
We also asked Flamia about the upcoming trial and the video of Andre being shocked that the school is fighting to keep out of the public eye. Are you concerned that videotape is going to be played in court?
That's a case that's in the courts, and we're going to allow the courts to handle that case.
Potentially could be pretty damaging, I imagine, if that's shown in court.
No, we're confident that the courts are going to resolve it.
The public may soon be able to see the video. Jury selection is scheduled to start Monday in Norfolk Superior Court. We'll be sure to bring you the latest. Do you have an idea for a Fox Undercover investigation? Call us, 1-800-TV-FOX25.